cultists for the last 130 years are also saying this very scenario is going to happen. Now, the Bible says out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses a thing is established. Now, I understand you don't want to be going out of the mouth of the devil to establish everything. But it is interesting when you have biblical confirmation, when you have scholars that are searching things out saying this, and then you also have the occult saying the same thing, that this is how it's going to go down. There's going to be a World War III, and out of the ashes of World War III, the Antichrist will arise. It's the perfect scenario for him to arise. So Albert Pike received a demonic vision, which we're going to read in a second, on January 22nd, 1870. Pike and one of his international co-conspirators, Giuseppe Manzini, published the plan which would establish the New World Order. The plan was kept very secret, only within the Freemasonic circles since the time of its inception, known to only fellow occultist Illuminati conspirators. This information is taken from the book of a former Luciferian illuminist. His name is Doc Marquis. Now, I've actually talked to Doc Marquis on the phone. I've talked to this guy. He was kind of he was called a generational Luciferian. Now, people that are involved in high-level occult, particularly in these 13 families that run the world, that refer to themselves as the Illuminati. Not openly, but I'm saying behind the scenes. They're called the Illuminati. These are the guys like the DuPonts, the Astors, the Bundys, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, these guys. Okay? These are the ones that control the politicians. These are the ones that establish world policy. But they're not normally the ones right in the front. They usually have puppets that they control up front, these politicians, that basically do their bidding. Because, see, Satan always likes to kind of be in the back. He doesn't want to just come out with his agenda up front. If that were the case, everybody would know it, and they wouldn't get into it most of the time. Remember, Satan was the most subtle beast of the field in Genesis. So he's not just going to come out and hit you with a sledgehammer. He's going to do this very subtly, and this is how he does things. So Doc Marquis was a member of this. He was a generational Luciferian, because that's what they refer to themselves as, generational Luciferians, usually not generational Satanists. A Satanist is somebody that can justify just doing all bad. Whereas a Luciferian, a little bit different. Luciferians believe that they kind of have to balance their good and their bad. But they do, even when they supposedly do good, it's always self-serving. For instance, if you have a philanthropist who's a generational Luciferian, and he's doing all this wicked stuff behind the scenes, then he'll come out and he'll have this foundation where he'll open a hospital, and they'll name the hospital after him, and you can, like that one guy used to go out and for the public used to throw silver dimes to the little kiddies. This was back in the 30s. I don't know if that was Pillsbury or one of those guys. So see, on the outward, they appear as these wonderful people, these philanthropists that just do all these good works, and then on the other side, they're worshiping Satan. That would be more the definition of a Luciferian. Whereas a Satanist, anything pretty much goes. They're just doing all evil all the time. But it's hard to portray a public image if you're a Satanist. You're not going to get very far in the public image if you're a Satanist. You know, like Anton LaVey. I doubt that Anton LaVey, that wrote the Satanic Bible, that started the First Church of Satan in May 1st, 1966 in San Francisco, I doubt that he would have gone very far, even running for mayor in the town of San Francisco, much less president. Okay? So that's what you have to kind of understand about these guys. Doc Marquis came out of this, and he wrote a book, The Secrets of the Illuminati, which reveals much of the formerly hidden details known to Illuminists. Now, he's not the only guy saying this. There's a lot of people that have come out of this that are confirming what he said. He also has a really good video on all the occultic origins of essentially all of our holidays, which are actually satanic holy days in this country. Other than Thanksgiving, they all have pagan roots. They all have, and if you have any doubts about that, please email me. I'll get you the information on the fact that we've been totally duped about the holiday system in this country. It's all by design. Remember, we're destroyed for lack of knowledge, according to Hosea 4:6. And so, the secret that Albert Pike talked about was a plan to control the world by establishing a new world order, which foresaw the need for 3 world wars. Now, this was 1870. We're going to establish a new world order, and we need 3 world wars to do it. And he knew this back in 1870. Well, the devil has some foreknowledge as well. This is how psychics can get it right sometimes. They don't get it right all the time. But see, the test of a prophet is, back in Deuteronomy, I believe 18, is you have to get it right all the time. If you say you're a prophet, like so many of these Pentecostals do, you better be nailing it 100% of the time. Oh, I'm hearing from God. This is going to happen. Oh, well, I got it right 50%. That doesn't cut it with God. The psychics that you go get your fortune tell, you go, they'll read a crystal ball or scry or tea leaf reading or whatever they do. Well, yeah, a lot of times they'll get it right 50% of the time or even higher. But if you're a true prophet of God, according to the Bible in Deuteronomy 18, you're supposed to get it right 100% of the time. The Third World War was foreseen to begin with Judaism and Islam. Wow. Now, he knew this back in 1870, that this Third World War, it was going to be a basic battle between Islam and Judaism, which is basically exactly what we're looking at in the Middle East. What is the biggest linchpin point of tension in the Middle East? The Jews, Judaism. What is the other side? Islam. He knew this back in 1870. So this war will initially be between Judaism and Islam and expand outward to engulf the whole world. This prophecy is incredible in many ways, beginning with the understanding that this prophecy of a Third World War occurred in 1870, a time when Israel did not even exist as a nation. Think about that. This is why people get swept up in the occult many times, because there's some things that go on in the occult that are pretty impressive, that they can point to. Well, how do we know this and this and this? And people get swept up from that standpoint as well. Israel did not even exist as a nation in 1870. And when, at the time, no one except a fundamental Bible-believing Christian would ever believe it would have ever existed again. No other religion would have even believed that at that time. This warfare we are describing here will be taken by a military analyst as a typical run-out to an all-out war. Hamas is attacking Israel daily with rockets and artillery, while Hezbollah is trying to neutralize Lebanon so that she can freely attack Israel. See, there's different factions of the Islamic movement, the radical Islamic movement, really the fundamental Islamic movement, because see, these Islamic extremists are actually being fundamental to the Quran. In other words, if you're a fundamental Christian, you believe fundamentally, and you go by fundamentally what the Bible says. If you're a fundamental Muslim or Islamic person, you're going to go fundamentally by what the Quran says. And what does the Quran say? It says to destroy and slay the infidels. Who are the infidels? Any non-believers, particularly the Jews. That's what they're told to do over and over and over again. And if you have doubts about that, please email me. I'll get you the full article. I'll get you the verses, book, chapter, and verse in their Quran where it says to do this. This is what... But see, most of the Islamic world is not that radical, and they'll say, oh, it's a religion of peace and this things, and they're not even going by the Quran at that point. They're just being wolves in sheep's clothing. So Syria has moved army units very close to the border with Lebanon and Israel, and the Iranian trained and equipped Iraqi insurgents are daily bogging American forces further into the swamp called Iraq. We can only wait to see how matters will unfold, but it is conceivable that an all-out Islamic forces could be ready to attack by the 40th anniversary of the Six-Day War. Interesting point, I hadn't thought of that, which would be June 5th through 10th, 1967. See, in the Six-Day War, Israel achieved a mighty victory there and basically took total possession of Israel in 1967, June 5th through 10th. So it's going to be the 40th anniversary coming up of that. As we have noted in earlier communications, Israel is facing many thousands of rockets and missiles capable of delivering traditional and non-traditional forms of ordinances. These are fearful times for Israel. Okay, so I wanted just to touch upon that this morning and let you understand that this has been predicted by occultists for a long, long time. This isn't just some pet doctrine of some ministry or myself or whatever. I don't see a better way for the Antichrist to arise than a Middle East, all-out Middle East war, World War III type of scenario where the Antichrist arises. In another article